Let me tell you a story. A less melodramatic story than the one from my Monster Hunter video. Back when I was a little shit, I thoroughly enjoyed Mega Man, Crash Bandicoot, Armored Core, etc., etc. But one game genre I had yet to experience was the FPS, the first-person shooter, as I'm sure you're aware. Then, in a cereal box, I obtained Chex Quest, which piqued my interest. Years later, I discovered Quake 3 Arena thanks to my great uncle. And holy fucking shit, that game is amazing. One day, a friend of mine gave me a shareware disc with a buttload of games on it, and on that disc was what many consider to be one of the greatest shooters of all time, Doom 2. Holy balls, that game. I would play it for hours on end. The difficulty, the weapon variety, the scenario, etc., etc. It was an amazing piece of gaming history, and I loved it. Still love it, actually. Now then, as I'm sure you're all aware, Doom is getting a sequel/reboot in the form of Doom. And like most, I was super hyped when I first watched the trailer. But as I watched it over and over, I began to notice little things about it that worried me. The game seemed slower, with less focus on crazy amounts of enemies and just being focused on sheer shock value. The game itself doesn't look bad, but it just seems off compared to what made the first Doom games great. A sense of true dread, the enemies wanted you dead and would stop at nothing to kill you. Doom was about the action, solely that. You felt like that 80s badass movie hero, running through hordes of demons, blowing holes in their faces with whatever your arsenal consisted of. It was glorious. Doom holds up well today, not only is one of the most influential games of all time, but is still a damn fun game. So, this video is less of on a look of, quote, why Doom 4 will suck, and more of what Doom 4 needs to still retain, and what makes the original Doom game good. Please understand, these are my opinions on the subject, and I'll do my best to support them. If you've got your own opinions, that's great. Share them in the comments below. Maybe we can have a civil discussion on the differences in opinion. The biggest thing I've heard from friends and the community is that the gameplay is locked to 30 FPS on the console. Man, I love a solid 60 FPS, but does the game really need that extra speed? Yes, absolutely! This is supposed to be a fast-paced FPS with Twitch-based controls. Well, the old ones are. I guess we really can't say that for sure yet about the new Doom, because we've only seen a few people play it.
Colonel O'Brien here. Hello, sir. Welcome to my ice cream shop. Look at that!
You got the seed!
You couldn't spell the open! You alright?
I'm alright with it.
But the history of Doom is just that. So unless the gameplay is slowed down, then 60 FPS is a must. And if the gameplay is slowed down, then, well, I'll have my gripes. Man, I sure do love breaking up the frenzied gameplay with these over-the-top death animations. See how good I am at pressing a button in a QuickTime type of event and fashion? These are completely unnecessary, and while they look pretty cool and varied, they don't really amount to the skill of the player. Sure, you have to get close to the enemy to pull it off, but if the enemy is already close to death, why not, instead of a close-range cinematic kill move like that, which totally slows down the game, have unique gun kills, or just make them explode when you hit them with the foot, or your weapon? I understand that they're not necessary to kill the enemy, but when the move doesn't service the game other than aesthetic, it almost detracts or changes the flow of gameplay. It is not necessary. People are saying things like the game needs unlocks, certain modes, multiplayer, etc., etc. I disagree to an extent. There really is no reason for a lot of these systems to be added. They add a false sense of replayability. While yes, I agree that these systems can work really well in a lot of games, there's really no point to it. And the fact that there are loadouts for multiplayer, I get that most every generic brown and bloom shooter does that for multiplayer nowadays, but why not take a page from Quake 3 Arena, one of the sister games of Doom, and have it based around whomever can get the weapon first? Yes, this presents some obstacles for newcomers, as they have to know the layout of the map they're playing on, but maybe that's just the way I like my games. Hard and fast.
Gay!
Does it need multiplayer? No. Should it have multiplayer? Fuck yeah, dude! I'd love to run around the main campaign of the game with a buddy of mine kicking ass and shooting demons. Fuck, dude! That's what Doom should have been since the beginning. Hell, see the cover of the first game? Bet you didn't notice this guy in the background. Totally a bro-op kind of game. Now, let me reflect on the idea of unlocks. In the original Doom, if you found a gun for the first time, then you got to use it, you kept it. Of course, a lot of the more powerful guns were saved until later levels. In some cases, you could actually find them earlier if you were crafty enough, but you had to be sparing with your ammo because you'd be scrapped to find the guns later on. This added some real tension to the weapon choicing. Do I attempt to mow down these assholes with the chain gun I just found, or save the ammo and go at them with my shotgun? Now imagine Doom with an unlock system. It definitely could work, but it would need some major care and attention to retain the same kind of tension that the original game had. Imagine the system I spoke of already, where when you find a gun, it's yours to use as you please. Let's postulate on the worst kind of unlock system. You find a gun and, oops, gotta be level 40 to use it! In the main campaign? That's such a use of artificial tension I can almost taste the Splenda in it. I needn't say more on why that'd be dumb as fuck. But I will. The point of Doom is to be rewarding. Almost every time you pick up a new gun in Doom, the character down in the middle gets this big old sadistic grin on his face. Now, it's not the game telling you how you should feel, it's relating to you, that he feels the same way you do, because this guy is just as excited to pick up that super shotgun as you are, and as you should be, because, to quote Mr. Torg,
This is fucking awesome!
and that is something that Doom excels in. Player-character connection. Much like Zelda, you want that new item. You want to kick ass and chew bubblegum. Wrong game quote still applies here. What really needs to be said, but is also probably the most cliched thing to say, is that with the release of Brutal Doom, a lot of fans of the series say that Doom needs to be more like that. To which I reply, yes, absolutely. Brutal Doom feels like the natural progression of the Doom series, and feels more like Doom 3 than fucking Doom 3. You know what the game has that Doom 4 also has? Fatality kills. Except, the ones in Brutal Doom service the game. When you kill an enemy with one of these types of kills, you somehow get health back. Don't ask questions. Also, sometimes you can pick up enemies or enemy body parts and throw them back at other enemies. Also, you can use certain enemies as meat shields. See what I mean? All of these service the central gameplay and theming of the game. Being a badass super soldier and not giving two fucks. Also, you can flip off enemies, which is nice. Doom 3 tried to have a story mode. And no, this is not a bad thing. Story in games is like stories in porn. Is this really what you came here for? And if you did, you might have your interests skewed. Truth be told, there are some really fantastic games with superb stories, but if the gameplay is bad, then it loses most of its retaining value. Games like the Stanley Parable, Until Dawn, or Undertale challenge the notion by building the gameplay around the story ideas. I believe in Undertale's case, the gameplay was built first, but that's another topic for another day. So why mention all of this? Well, it's my personal hope that the story for Doom is bare bones as fuck. Maybe if a game comes out with awesome gameplay, but little story, we can stop having all this melodramatic tripe that's been coming out of the past few years for gaming. My personal desire is a simple run and gun that I can pop in and play for an hour or two, or maybe play all day. Let me compare this to a couple of games. Why did you play Halo? Did you want to see the story between Master Chief and Cortana unfold? No, you wanted to shoot aliens. Why did you play Mega Man X? Is it because you wanted to see the idea that Mega Man one day might have to kill the thing that he might end up becoming?
What if I become one of the Mavericks?
No, it's you wanted to shoot robots. Why do you play Minecraft? To truly understand what it might be going on in Steve's head about the fact that he's here all alone? No, it's because you like Legos. And why do you play Dynasty Warriors? Because you wanted to learn the history of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms? Well, I mean, maybe, but you wanted to mostly kill thousands of dudes. The story should almost always take a backseat to gameplay, and if it doesn't, the gameplay should be riding shotgun while the story drives. I want to reiterate that there's nothing wrong with having a good story in a game, and a lot of games have good to great stories. But if the game has a shitty story and gets bad reviews for it, then so help me God, I will have to punch all of the pseudo-intellectuals on the planet. The first Doom story. Demons are invading your base on Mars. That's it! Fuck it! We're done! Print it! Do you care? I don't fucking care! Let's kill them all! And don't give me the shitty-ass argument that, oh, Grenade Man Blitz, it was 1993, there weren't any games with good story and gameplay at the time. Fuck you! Link's Awakening, Secret of Mana, Alone in the Dark, Another World, Final Fantasy IV, Link to the Past. But Doom had a bare bones as fuck story. Why? Because they wanted to make a goddamn badass shooter game. They had to innovate the genre for God's sakes, and so they sacrificed story to work on gameplay. And that's what makes Doom great. The gameplay. I really do think the developers most likely understand this, but it still worries me. I guess my point here is, with all the hype surrounding it, this game has a lot of high expectations on all fronts. If this game has little to no story, please remember that Doom is not about the story at all. All of what we've seen of Doom 4 seems to suggest the game focuses more on atmosphere and slow, deliberate gameplay. This is not necessarily a bad thing, but this is not what makes the first Doom games great. 20 years later, the developers are still trying to adapt the series to modern gaming market, but it does seem like maybe it's losing part of what made the original games great. We can't be sure until the game comes out, because maybe from all we've seen so far, it's just the first level. Maybe the game does get faster. Maybe it does get more brutal, and not in a purely aesthetic way. Maybe, just maybe, it'll actually be a damn good game and all. And maybe everything I've said will amount to jack shit. But these are just my opinions, and I want to encourage thought. So thanks for taking some time to hang out with me and listen to me ramble. This has been another Personal Perspectives on Gaming. Thanks for watching. Well, that was a long one. Thanks for sticking around through the end. I fucking appreciate it. If you guys like this video, leave me a like, drop me a comment, share this video on social media, subscribe to my channel, etc, etc. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook. If you want to watch a video on why I love Monster Hunter and why you should play it, you should click here. If perhaps you want to watch my video on top 10 games I wish I could play again for the first time, then click here. Again, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. You guys make my channel worth working on, and I'll continue to do my best to push out better and better content. With that, I'll see you in the next video. And remember, video games are the best video games. Later.